What's going on, YouTubes? Did you guys see the last video by chance? To the downside or upside, it just really needs to clear a level for me, catch up with some of the anchors. So I will be looking forward into tomorrow to hold above this 15-minute right here, the big fat guy in the middle, okay? Him, that's the one. This is the one, 1430 Central. She comes down here or here, anywhere builds in that support. I'm going to look for the long tomorrow up to 645.67. I'm going to hold support hopefully above 642 area GP. Push it back up for almost 30 points on the reverse. Now, the VIX needs to stay under 7. All right, guys, if you caught that last video, if not, maybe I'll throw it in the description for you. So we had a pretty good long morning. We had some beautiful short to longs and a couple little things in the Discord that we had played today off of that 15 I'm telling you about right here was the short from the 1618 down to some of the GPs. Now, I was most talking about the anchor catch up. You're going to see those anchor VWAPs right here in the purple 15-minute chart on the triple no tag, again, which we always use. We had some beautiful downside here, stacking up some nice moves. Had a couple good P&Ls even to start with. Excuse me. And then we were talking about dip buys here, all Discord for the data. So we got that data coming all the way in, and then we're going to watch for the dip buys prior to the 3618. And last but not least, this was my trade plan for the day for the chat. And it says all long bias, which I talked about yesterday as well. If we were to go under yesterday's highs with some speed, we could watch the short. But as it says right here, long lean this morning, buy dips from the data. I even spelled dips wrong for you because that's what I do. Long target 1, long target 2. So we were all long and short today. Let's go over it. So as we've seen in the SPY video, I went over and I said, boys and girls, I am only looking for anything above this middle 15. We left that fib on, and as I explained in that video as well, I don't want you guys messing around with the shorts right here, right? I was very adamant on that. We talked about it in the video. And I said this big impulse move, a lot of people are going to look for that 5 p.m. futures open. It's going to come back down, and they think it's just going to be a super easy retrace after impulse. You know, you're going to have all these turds putting in their stupid high-low Fibonacci's like me. Just kidding, because I do this all the time. And it's going to fail because it's never going to come back down to that GP. It doesn't matter what you use, you were going to fail because you don't know algo systems quite like us. So the 15-minuter here, right? We said it was not going to come down. And in that video, I explained that you will get cooked and you will get slapped to that upside if you short. So we also said we were going to come up to the long right here, right? So we pushed after that, came in, tapped it even after hours, came back into it pre-market, tapped it. And as I expressed, we were buying all dips. Now I talk about a whole bunch of different trade plans and all this other stuff. So there's a bunch of different stuff on the screen. There's the T1, there's the T2. All right, so let's talk why we were buying all dippas today, because we love spelling, right? Two things here on the short to long, right? We had a beautiful little sweep high setup, and I am real big, as you guys know, in pre-market high, pre-market low. We fib these out, we watch it, and then we use the daily biases, right? So I use over under yesterday's highs, which is coded in here to the dash orange, and I use the pre-markets high lows for a lot of my trading. If we come to the oscillation indicators here, which is my favorite, the old MACD, we also see a huge weakness onto the 0 level and under. So the MACD crosses its moving averages into the 0. I call that weakness, right? We're in short territory. So we have better opportunities to see shorts. So we've seen a cross right here to kind of move back up right at open there. It had that push, but a sweep happened with the pre, and we have spent more time here in that last couple hours on the bottom side of the MACD than we did the top side of the MACD. When that happens, we need confirmation, right? So even if the RSI pushes back up to confirm an upside move on the RSI, it must pull back, confirm strength for me, and then continue, right? That's confirmation trading. So when we seen the open, we called this move right here where we said the push up here, all was looking short. Here's your pre-market high. Here's the sweep of the pre-market high, and there is the return to yesterday's highs, looping our support, which again, we called in our live chat, long off yesterday's close, again, buying all dips. Now, if we back up here a little bit, we're going to show you that cues and the rest off this 115. So if I go to the 15-minute, make it a little cleaner for you guys to see, we had a couple golden pockets, right? Charted off just in case we got some speed under yesterday's highs, but we were all long bias. We're going to delete these, and I'll come back to this later on over the weekend here. We're going to cover some fun stuff here. Now, the push on fib extensions. So we used this fib right here and we went to the 1618, 2618. We opened up, ended up holding above the 2618. So in my chat, I said, brothers, it's over under the 2618. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. We had it on the futures chart. If it is above that, you are long. If it is below that, you are short. You have yesterday's highs with that as well. We picked long, right? And that was after the dip. Now you can see it walk up from the 2618, 3618, 423. Even I told my chat here, I said, I really don't want to see it all the way up anywhere past this. We'll assess that hopefully tomorrow for data. Well, that didn't happen. She flew right through of our targets. And I said, I probably don't want to go any longer than this right here at the 423, 320, or 361.8, or the 423.6. I just don't want to see it any higher than that. It obviously pushed much higher than that. So we talk about our long targets here on SPY, excuse me, being this GP. And this is where the GP was that I drew that channel from and gave you guys that long from overnight. So when we drew that, this is where that channel came from, right? So as long as we're inside the 643 and we're cruising, we're going to cruise from the lower of the node GP, which means this candle at 829 is the low. And once we are strongly inside that low, we will return to that golden pocket and then the top. And I wanted to see the 647.84 top for tomorrow or into next week, but hey, we're here. So that push was warranted. Now we are up into all-time high territory. We don't have a whole lot to do. But if you caught the last couple of videos from last week, the 28th, all the way back, we go over two different things. And I want to cover this with you guys here as well. Now there's a very specific, magical, super candle. Did we hit that last? No way. We did. I didn't even see that. Last of four gaps. Huh. Well, I'll go over that first real quick. I didn't even bring up my ES chart. I thought we were 17 points lower than what we were. So we had a magical little gap here that we had a 1 of 4 gap, and I had this magnet left on for ES at 64.1450 or 65.1450, 65.1476. There's a 1 minute gap. Algo. We actually magneted right to that today. Fantastic. But how do we know where we're going up there, right? Fibonacci recycling in its best case scenario. Both of these candles exist on both the NQ and the ES. This is also what I gave you guys last night right here. I talked in the last video about as long as it holds everything above this 1 minute gap here, we were going to fly all the way back up to 22,588. Again, you can check the last video. I'll put it in the description. So we did call the great long here, but why? Okay. This magical little 15 way back here. And if you caught the videos, let's just go to the 15, make it look a little better. There we go. If you caught the last couple of videos or any of my live Fibonacci classes that are on this channel in the live recording, you will know and understand why this candle is chosen. So this high-low right here pointed to the downside does a fib cycle. And then we look for recycle. We talked again about this being our target, the 666 end. So look at this 15 minute goes down, right? All the way down to the 666. And this is where we got last video's targets. As long as it holds that, this is the first cycle from the 15 to the bottom of the fib range, 23,100. After it pops back up and gets back inside the fib range, it holds 423, 3, 2, 6. And you guessed it, this was as long as I wanted to see it for the day, right? And we tore back, right? Perfect. Not a big deal. We're going to look to our left here on the old NQ, and we're going to notice we got a couple open targets, right? We hit our target of 22,800 in the past here, and then we dumped. Oh, I can't see it because we're not far enough back. There we go. We dumped after swing target. So we were buying these at the Jackson Hole dip. Jackson Hole comes up. We bought the dip. We swung it to 23.8 as we discussed. Got out, came back down, swept said Jackson Hole, came back to fair value gaps in the pre-market of Jackson Hole, and then went for the re-long with this special green Fibonacci candle. So we came all the way back in, pow, all the way up, and I only wanted to see it. That's all my call was. Now for the rest of the week, we're going to reassess and change that, right? Because obviously we're coming to attack the last volume imbalances we have up here that we talked about. So we have a 1 minute gap that looks like she's going to fill here. We have this right here, no GP tag, 5 minute. So most likely overnight, we're going to hit that 23,724.25. And that's coming up pretty quick. Looks like a pretty weak, slow open, but it was quite the grinder. But we'll probably be hitting this, and then what it takes to get up to the next couple gaps, I don't know. So the two things that I'm going to look for, because we don't know everything, right, is going to be the Fibonacci recycle point from the gaps as well. So if I go to deleting my specialty 15, because it is taken out. She's Done, boys. We have the 23.8 that we have already clicked into and filled. The last two volume imbalances up here are all I'm worried about. So I'm going to delete that because it's filled. This is a new one, right, from shorter term. So we will have to fill this and then move up to here. How are we going to get there? Well, let's find the targets together. We're going to come in, go to the weekly old fib, delete that so it gets a little cleaner. We're going to delete this price level. We're going to make it super clean right here. That was the gap target we hit yesterday as well. There we go. All right. So how am I going to figure out how the hell all the way up there? Well, I'm going to start at the 15-minute chart, and I'm going to look for no golden pocket tags and other, right? So today's action and yesterday's end of the day action, right? I know on the NQ, that's our triple 15, right? That's the end of the day. Boom, boom, boom. We came down in the morning, held said 15, and rocket launched for the entire day. What did it leave us with during the intraday? This fancy 15 with no golden pocket at 9:15 a.m. Central. I'm starting this live. I have no idea where this is going to be, but my hope is I'm going to draw some candles or just draw some Fibonacci on some specific candles that are going to work for us to the upside. Now, again, I haven't seen this yet, but we're going to back up and hope we're going to get to those gaps. Nope, too far. All right, so that 15-minute is saying that we have a temporary top to potentially put in. Now, it is overnight already, so this is yesterday, quote-unquote today, because it's past 5 p.m. Central by about an hour and a half. So we are seeing that this fib from quote-unquote yesterday has pushed all the way up to the 3618, and generally that's where she kind of stalls out. And so I'm assuming she's just going to chop blend up here like so until tomorrow, so I'm not going to use that Fibonacci, right? If I go back a little bit more, and we have that impulse move of the triple. Let's try that one. So I just used here, and we didn't quite get any overlapping to where I wanted to see it. Damn drawing tool up to here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back here to some of these and draw those. Now this 15-minute is the middle child, right? Is the one we were talking about before. Let's see if the 666 is up there. Not high enough. Well, of course not. It's going to be lower. So let's take the full range of that 15. Do I have any pockets down here? Couple no 15s, no giant pockets. All right, so I'm going to take the impulse move of the entire 15, which is, again, the 3 note GPs we keep talking about. See if we can get close then. Aha! We found one. So this is going to be a watch for me in the macro coming into tomorrow and the next day. So I'm going to turn this one neon green, and all I did was I looked for a Fibonacci that overlaps my gap protocol for volume imbalances. And I found 3 different things to try and use. We have data in the Note GP here. Both weren't going to work. We tried one of these candles, which wasn't going to work. But what if we take the entire range of the GP? Those are the how to draw these candles. Again, we talk about this in the live video lessons on this channel if you want to know how we draw them. So I took the 15 minutes right here, over, under, boom, boom. This is no GP tag, no GP, no. Now, we did get one GP tag, right? It came down and filled the one, but it's still important to utilize all 3 because 2 are left open down here next to each other, okay? 1, 2, right? See him? Intercrossing some important points. This Fibonacci puts us at the 423.6 for the double 1-minute gap left open near 23.850. So what I would do here is utilize what we have for fibs. Now, one thing about fib cycling, on the way through, okay? So if we draw the fib here, let's talk about it. Comes up, hits the 1618. What's the best case scenario? Comes back down to the 100 fib to confirm strength to move up to the next extension, which is the 2618, which we have done here. 2618, if it holds up here and now we have an overlay, goes to the 3. 3 generally fails, comes back to the 2, and then we can find our way to the 423 and the 1-minute gaps. This is the price action I will look for tomorrow when I wake up. I don't care about tonight. I'm not going to play into this. I'm not going to set limit orders down here and make believe I know exactly where the sport's going to come. I'm going to wait for confirmation, okay? Last but not least, let's jump to the daily charts and the higher time frames like we usually like to do and try to find some goodness as well. So these were taken out already. I don't know why my chart dances like that. One of the scaled indicators goes nuts, so don't mind him. We do have a couple different majors back here on the daily that don't have GP tags. I wanted to get something a little closer up here, so I don't see a lot actually with no tag GPs. We only have this guy here at 9.2. He has no 50 tag, and then we have yesterday, quote unquote. So let's see if we can do the daily and we can get potentially up here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this candle right here because it has no golden pocket tag in the center, and I'm going to see if I get a 1618 close to that. Aha, fancy. All right, close enough for me. So the articulate move here is to change these gold. And now I'm going to get some overlaps. All right, so now I got a daily with no GP tag on the gold, and I got a pretty good grouping up here of targetable offenses between 23.50, 23.9, okay? So the whole kit and caboodle would be hopefully for tomorrow. We'll see if we get the continued impulse move. If not, we're going to look for this into the next week. I'll give you another recap tomorrow and see how it goes. But we're going to come up. We're going to look for anything over the 100, which is just yesterday's highs. And we're going to hopefully it pulls back and hope for a pullback 2618, right? I don't really want to see it all the way back down to the golden pocket no tag, right? Fill it and then go. Could it happen? Sure, but I don't know if the report's big enough for tomorrow. I want this thing to kind of lag and chop and not fill the gap and kind of go lazy. It's really close to this 23, 742, 25. The algos are like, watch this fill. And then they say F you and it comes all the way back down. They shy that fill. And then it comes back down to some of these supports and then rips rallies back up. So I will look for two things. I will look for the failure of the fill of gap at open here. So it's going to open, come up towards this gap like it did, fail it, come down to one of these two supports, whether it be the GP or the 2618. Great. If not, I will look for a big push up, consolidation holds, and we'll target 3618 to the top side and see if we can get to the 1 minutes. But inevitably, I will look for standardized strong holds above yesterday's close, excuse me, on the NQ into those gaps. That is it. So hopefully you guys found some value here. If you did, shoot me a comment below. Win some cash money on the weekend drawing we'll be doing Saturday morning. Live lesson coming up. I promise we're going to get here this time. And then as we move into the live trading stuff, if you'd like to come hang out with me and trade live with me, watch me narrate this stuff, the link is in the description, and we'd love to have you. Take care. Trade safe. We'll see you on the next.